Aaron tightened the straps of his backpack and squinted at the horizon. The mountains stretched endlessly before him, their peaks sparkling under the pale sunlight. Snow blanketed every ridge, and icy winds cut through the air like invisible knives. For years, he had heard stories of the Ice Palace, a hidden fortress made entirely of crystal and ice, and now he was finally close. His heart raced with excitement and nervousness. He had traveled for weeks through frozen forests and frozen rivers. Every step had been a test of endurance. But nothing had prepared him for the sight that now stood before his eyes. Rising above the mountains like a gem carved by the gods themselves, the Ice Palace shimmered in soft blue light. Its towers spiraled into the sky, and its walls reflected the sunlight like mirrors. Aaron felt a strange pull in his chest, a mixture of fear and wonder. This was no ordinary palace, it was alive in some way, whispering secrets he could not yet understand. Taking a deep breath, Aaron stepped forward. The crunch of snow under his boots was the only sound at first. The air was crisp and smelled of ice and stone. He noticed carvings on the palace walls, delicate, detailed patterns of flowers, stars, and strange creatures. Some seemed almost real, as if they could step out of the walls at any moment. He ran his gloved hand across one design, feeling the smoothness of the ice beneath his fingers. "This is incredible," he whispered, more to himself than anyone else. As he moved closer to the palace entrance, a strange feeling grew in his chest. The air seemed colder, sharper, almost electric. He could see his breath rising in quick, small clouds, and his fingers began to tingle. Something was watching him. Aaron's eyes darted around the open courtyard, but there was no one in sight. Only the palace stood, silent and imposing. "Who is there?" Aaron called, his voice echoing slightly against the ice walls. No answer came. He swallowed, trying to steady his nerves, and took another step. The palace doors were enormous, carved from a single block of ice, and they glowed faintly from within. They didn't have handles or keyholes. Instead, as Aaron approached, the doors slowly opened on their own, revealing a grand hall filled with light that danced off every icy surface. The hall was breathtaking. Icicles hung like chandeliers from the ceiling, and the floor was polished smooth, reflecting the tall columns that stretched endlessly upward. The air smelled faintly sweet, almost like frozen flowers. Aaron felt a shiver run down his spine. He had seen beautiful places in his life, but nothing like this. Every step he took seemed to echo, yet the sound was soft, gentle, as if the palace itself was listening. Then, he saw her. A figure appeared at the far end of the hall, standing perfectly still. Her hair shimmered like silver threads, and her eyes glowed faintly blue. She wore a long robe that sparkled with frost, and her presence filled the room with an almost magical calm. Aaron's breath caught. He had read about the guardians of the palace, but seeing one was different. They were said to be powerful and cautious, protecting the secrets of the Ice Palace for centuries. And now, one stood in front of him, watching his every move. "Who are you?" Aaron asked, trying to keep his voice steady. The figure stepped forward, her movements smooth and quiet. "I am Niva," she said softly, her voice like the wind brushing over ice. "Why have you come here, human?" Aaron hesitated. He wanted to explain, to say that he meant no harm, but the words felt small compared to the majesty around him. I came to see the palace," he said finally. "To learn. I've heard its stories, and I wanted to see if they were true." Niva's gaze studied him carefully. She seemed to sense the honesty in his heart. Many come seeking treasures or power, she said. Few come with true curiosity. You must prove that your heart is pure if you wish to walk these halls freely. Aaron nodded, a spark of determination lighting up his chest. He didn't fully understand what she meant, but he knew one thing: he would face any challenge. He had traveled too far, seen too much, to turn back now. The icy wind from the mountains blew through the open doors, carrying with it a sense of mystery and possibility. Aaron stepped fully into the palace, ready to begin a journey that he had dreamed of for years. He did not yet know the trials, the wonders, or the danger that awaited him. But he knew one thing: his life was about to change forever. The palace seemed to watch him, its walls glowing faintly, as if it recognized his courage. And for the first time, Aaron felt a connection not just to the palace, but to something greater than himself. Something magical, ancient, and alive. Aaron stepped carefully across the smooth icy floor, his boots making soft echoes in the grand hall. The closer he got to Niva, the more he noticed her graceful movements. She seemed to float rather than walk, her presence calm but powerful. Aaron felt a mix of fear and awe. He had never met anyone like her. Niva's blue eyes studied him closely, as if trying to see through his thoughts. "You are brave to come this far," she said, her voice calm but serious. "Few humans dare enter the ice palace without fear. But courage alone is not enough. You must show wisdom and respect if you wish to stay." Aaron nodded quickly. "I understand," he said. "I do not wish to harm this place. I only want to learn." Niva tilted her head slightly. "Words are easy," she replied. "Actions are not. If you truly wish to learn, you must first face the palace itself. It will test you." Before Aaron could respond, the walls of the hall began to glow with a soft, cold light. The floor beneath him shifted slightly, as if the palace itself was breathing. Then, without warning, a section of the floor turned into a thin sheet of ice that slid forward, forming a narrow bridge leading to a tall archway. Aaron's heart beat faster. The first test had begun. "The palace will not harm you," Niva said quietly. "But it will reveal your strength and your heart. Step carefully." Aaron took a deep breath and stepped onto the ice bridge. The surface was slippery, and he had to concentrate on each movement. Halfway across, the bridge began to tilt, forcing him to adjust quickly. He felt his legs shake, but he focused, moving one careful step at a time. When he reached the archway, a wall of swirling frost appeared, forming shapes that looked like frozen creatures. Wolves, birds, and strange animals danced in the air, their icy forms twisting and turning. Aaron froze for a moment, unsure what to do. Then he remembered Niva's words: he needed wisdom and respect, not just courage. He slowed his breathing and observed the creatures. They did not move aggressively, they were testing him. Aaron began to step carefully through them, watching the patterns and moving when the shapes parted. Each step required focus, patience, and trust in his instincts. By the time he reached the other side, he was breathing heavily, but he had passed the first trial. Niva's voice echoed softly. "You have patience. That is good. But there is more to learn. Follow me." She led him through a corridor where walls of ice reflected their images. Aaron noticed that the reflection of Niva sometimes moved slightly differently from her actual steps, as if the palace itself was creating illusions. He realized that he had to trust his senses and not just what he saw. They entered a large room where the ceiling sparkled like the night sky, filled with frozen stars. In the center, a pedestal held a small, glowing crystal. Niva spoke again. The second trial is one of wisdom. Take the crystal, but do so with care. Many have tried, and many have failed, greedy for the light without understanding it. Aaron approached the pedestal slowly. He reached out and felt a warmth radiate from the crystal, despite the cold air. He realized the trial was not about speed or strength. It was about intention. He lifted the crystal gently, holding it close to his chest. The room seemed to glow brighter, and the frozen stars twinkled as if they were smiling. Niva stepped closer, a faint smile on her lips. You show respect and understanding. Few can do this. You are learning quickly, Aaron. Aaron felt a small sense of pride, but also a new feeling. He was curious about Niva herself. She was not just a guardian of the palace, she was clever, strong, and graceful. He wanted to know more about her, yet he also knew he needed to focus on the trials. The final challenge of the day was simple in appearance but difficult in practice. Niva handed him a small, frozen sphere and said, "This is a test of patience and focus. Hold it carefully, and do not let it fall. The palace will attempt to distract you." Aaron took the sphere in his hands. Immediately, icy gusts swirled around him, and reflections of the palace danced in the walls, trying to confuse him. He focused on the sphere, keeping his hands steady. Time felt stretched, but he kept his mind calm. Finally, the gusts subsided, and the sphere remained intact. Niva's voice was soft but approving. You have done well today, Aaron. The palace acknowledges your courage, patience, and respect. Tomorrow, your lessons will continue, and you will learn more about its secrets, and about yourself. Aaron felt a mixture of relief and excitement. He had survived the first day of trials, but he knew this was only the beginning. He looked at Niva, her silver hair glowing in the soft light, and felt a spark of connection that went beyond the tests. The Ice Palace was not just a place of challenges, it was a place of discovery, magic, and something more. And Aaron was ready to face it all. The next morning, Aaron woke to the soft glow of sunlight reflecting off the icy walls. The palace seemed even more alive than before, with the light moving like liquid across the floor. He stretched and shook off the cold, excitement bubbling inside him. Today, Niva had promised, would be a more difficult trial, one that would test not only his courage but also his heart. He followed Niva through a corridor lined with shimmering ice pillars. Each pillar reflected parts of the room in strange ways, bending shapes and creating illusions that made the walls appear to shift. Aaron tried to focus, remembering the lessons from yesterday. He realized that the palace wanted him to trust himself and not be distracted by what seemed real but was only a reflection. At the end of the corridor, they reached a large chamber. The floor was covered in soft snow, and small frozen streams ran through it like silver threads. In the center of the room, a circle of glowing runes formed a pattern on the ice. Niva turned to him, her eyes calm but serious. "This trial will test your perception and patience," she said. "You must reach the center without disturbing the circle. The palace will create illusions to distract you. Focus, and you may succeed." Aaron nodded, feeling his heartbeat quicken. He stepped carefully onto the snow-covered floor, noticing immediately how the runes seemed to shift slightly under his gaze. As he moved forward, shimmering figures appeared around him, creatures made entirely of ice, some small and harmless, others larger and more intimidating. They moved gracefully but unpredictably, circling him, testing his focus. Aaron slowed his steps and took deep breaths, reminding himself that they were only illusions. He moved deliberately, watching the patterns in the ice and waiting for openings. Sometimes he had to step back to avoid an illusion that seemed solid, sometimes he had to lean carefully to avoid brushing against a moving shadow. His muscles ached, and his hands trembled from the cold, but he pressed on. Halfway to the center, he felt a sudden gust of icy wind that nearly knocked him off balance. The illusions around him intensified, making the room appear as though it were spinning. For a moment, he panicked. But then he remembered Niva's words from yesterday: focus, and trust your heart. Closing his eyes briefly, he centered himself, imagining the path to the center as a clear, straight line. When he opened his eyes, the illusion seemed less threatening, and he continued carefully forward. Finally, he reached the center of the rune circle. The snow beneath him was untouched, the runes glowing brighter as he stepped inside. A warm light radiated from the center, contrasting with the cold around him. Aaron felt a small sense of triumph, but it was accompanied by wonder. The palace seemed to recognize his effort and courage, rewarding him with a quiet, magical energy that filled the room. Niva appeared beside him, her silver hair shimmering in the light. "You did well, Aaron," she said softly. "The palace is pleased. You have shown focus, patience, and respect for its power. Few humans could reach the center without faltering." Aaron smiled, feeling both relief and pride. "Thank you, Niva," he said. "Your guidance helped me. I want to understand this place more, and I want to learn from it." Niva studied him, her expression thoughtful. "Understanding the palace is not enough. One must also understand the heart of its guardian. That is the greater challenge." Aaron's cheeks warmed slightly. He wasn't sure what she meant, but he sensed that their connection was becoming more personal, more meaningful. There was a gentleness in Niva's gaze that made him feel both nervous and hopeful. For the next hour, she led him through smaller exercises, balancing on icy bridges, moving pieces of frozen puzzles, and reading patterns in the snow. Each task required careful thought, but also encouraged collaboration. They laughed when mistakes were made, shared quiet nods of encouragement, and sometimes walked side by side in silence, listening to the palace hum around them. By the time the day ended, Aaron was exhausted but exhilarated. He had faced the illusions, the tests, and the challenges, and he had not only survived but learned from them. More importantly, he felt a growing bond with Niva. She was not just a guardian or a guide, she was someone he admired deeply, someone he trusted in a way he had never trusted anyone before. As they stood at the edge of the hall, looking out at the icy mountains beyond, Niva spoke softly. "Tomorrow, the palace will test your heart in ways beyond skill or courage. Are you ready for what is to come?" Aaron took a deep breath, feeling the cold air fill his lungs. He met her gaze steadily. "I am ready," he said. "I want to face it all, with you." Niva's lips curved into the faintest smile, and for a moment, the world seemed still, the palace glowing softly around them. In that moment, Aaron realized that the Ice Palace was no longer just a place of challenges, it was a place where trust, friendship, and something even deeper could grow. And he was ready to discover all of it. The morning sunlight reflected off the walls of the Ice Palace in soft blue and silver tones. Aaron awoke feeling a mix of excitement and curiosity. The trials had been challenging, but he could feel himself learning, growing stronger and wiser with each test. Today, Niva promised something different. She said he would see parts of the palace that few humans had ever seen, hidden places that held the true magic of the Ice Palace. Aaron followed Niva through twisting corridors and spiraling staircases, each turn revealing new wonders. Some halls were lined with crystal mirrors, reflecting the sunlight in sparkling patterns that danced across the floor. Others were quiet chambers filled with delicate ice flowers, their petals glowing faintly in the cold air. Aaron reached out carefully to touch one, marveling at its beauty. The flower was cold, but it seemed almost alive, responding to the warmth of his hand with a soft glow. "This place is incredible," Aaron whispered, unable to hide his awe. "I've never seen anything like it." Niva glanced at him with a small smile. "The palace has existed for centuries," she said. "Its beauty is not just for the eyes. It carries the history of my people and the knowledge we protect. You will learn more than you expect if you pay attention." They entered a wide chamber at the heart of the palace. The ceiling was high, and the walls were carved with patterns that seemed to tell stories of old. In the center, a small frozen pond reflected the sky above, even though there were no windows. Aaron noticed that the ice on the pond was perfectly smooth, almost like glass, and it glimmered with faint colors as if it held memories within it. Niva knelt by the pond and touched the surface lightly. Images began to shimmer across the ice, showing scenes from centuries past: guardians training, humans visiting the palace, and magical events that had shaped the world. Aaron leaned closer, fascinated by the moving pictures. "These are the stories of the palace," Niva explained. "The ice holds memory. It remembers everything that happens here. That is why respect and wisdom are so important. Every action leaves a trace, and every choice matters." Aaron's eyes widened as he watched the ice images unfold. He realized the palace was more than a place of trials. It was alive, a living record of time and history. He felt honored to witness it, but he also felt a responsibility. He had come as a visitor, but now he understood that his actions mattered here more than anywhere else. Niva rose and gestured for him to follow. They walked deeper into the chamber, where the walls opened into a hidden garden of glowing ice flowers and frozen streams. The beauty was almost overwhelming. Aaron felt a strange peace here, as if the palace itself was welcoming him. "You see the palace's secrets," Niva said softly. "Few humans ever reach this place. You have proven yourself with courage and patience. Now, you must also learn to see with your heart, not just your eyes." Aaron looked at her, unsure what she meant. Niva smiled gently. "It is about understanding not only the palace but also those who protect it. We guardians do not exist alone. We feel, we think, and we hope. To truly respect the palace, you must respect its people as well." Aaron felt a warm feeling in his chest. He had always admired Niva's strength and grace, but now he was beginning to see her as more than a guardian. She was thoughtful, kind, and wise, and he found himself wanting to learn more about her, not just the palace. They sat by a frozen stream, watching the water glint beneath the ice. Niva told him stories of past guardians, of humans who had visited long ago, and of the responsibilities she carried. Aaron listened intently, asking questions and sharing his thoughts. For the first time, he felt a connection that went beyond challenge and trial. The palace seemed to hum around them, a soft, gentle sound that filled the chamber. Aaron realized that the palace and Niva were not separate, they were connected, and in learning about one, he was learning about the other. As the afternoon sun began to fade, Niva stood and extended her hand. "There is more to discover, Aaron," she said. "Tomorrow, you will face trials that test your mind and your courage even more. But today, remember what you have learned. The palace responds to those who are sincere, brave, and respectful. Never forget that." Aaron nodded, holding her gaze. "I won't," he promised. "I want to understand everything, and I want to do it the right way." Niva's smile deepened, and for a moment, there was a quiet warmth between them, like sunlight breaking through the cold. The palace glowed softly around them, reflecting their determination, their growing trust, and the start of something more, something beyond trials, beyond challenges, something personal and meaningful. Aaron looked around the hidden chamber one last time before they left. The Ice Palace was more than magic, it was alive, full of history, wonder, and secrets waiting to be discovered. And he knew, deep in his heart, that this journey was changing him in ways he could not yet fully understand. The morning air was colder than usual, and a soft fog rolled through the corridors of the Ice Palace. Aaron followed Niva as she led him toward the eastern towers, where she said he would face new challenges. The hidden chambers and glowing ice flowers of the past day had filled him with wonder, but today felt different. There was a tension in the air, subtle but undeniable, as if the palace itself was alert. As they approached the eastern hall, a sudden rumble echoed through the palace. Tiny cracks formed in the ice walls, and a chill wind swept through the corridors. Aaron instinctively took a step back. "What is happening?" he asked, his voice echoing off the walls. Niva's expression hardened. "Something has entered the palace," she said. "It is not common, but it happens. The palace is under threat, and we must protect it." Before Aaron could react, the doors to a nearby chamber burst open. A group of explorers appeared, their eyes wide with greed and excitement. They had heard rumors of the Ice Palace's secrets and had come seeking power, not understanding or respect. Aaron's heart sank. He had hoped that his journey would be about learning and discovery, not conflict. Niva stepped forward, her hands glowing faintly with icy energy. "You will not harm this palace," she said firmly. Her voice carried both authority and calm, but Aaron could sense the power behind it. The intruders laughed, thinking her warning was just a trick. One stepped forward, reaching for the glowing ice crystals that lined the walls. Immediately, Niva raised her hand, and a wall of swirling ice formed, blocking their path. The intruders stumbled back, surprised by the force and speed of her magic. Aaron felt a surge of courage. He could not stand by while the palace he admired was threatened. He joined Niva, guiding the intruders away from the more delicate chambers and toward the exit hall. "This way. You will not find what you seek here," he shouted. The intruders hesitated, and in that moment, Niva and Aaron worked together seamlessly. She used her ice powers to create barriers and gently redirect them, while Aaron anticipated their movements, guiding them without allowing any damage to the palace. It was exhausting, but the teamwork between them was natural. During the struggle, Aaron noticed something about Niva that he had not seen before. Her focus was absolute, but there was also a softness in her eyes whenever she looked at him. It was not just power she wielded, it was care. And in that moment, Aaron realized that he cared for her deeply as well. Finally, after a tense few minutes, the intruders, frustrated and confused, fled through the palace doors and into the frozen wilderness. The echo of their boots faded, leaving the palace quiet once more. Aaron and Niva stood together, breathing heavily, the air around them shimmering with residual magic. "You handled yourself well," Niva said softly, her voice calmer now. "Many humans would have panicked. But you trusted me, and you trusted the palace. That is why it was protected." Aaron felt a warmth in his chest. "I couldn't have done it without you," he said. "We made a good team." Niva's eyes softened, and she nodded. "Yes, we did." For a moment, they simply stood together, feeling the quiet hum of the palace around them. The danger had passed, but the bond they had formed was stronger than ever. After a few moments, Niva led Aaron to a quiet chamber filled with glowing ice crystals. The light was gentle, and the air was calm. "You have learned an important lesson today," she said. "Courage is not just about facing challenges for yourself. True courage is protecting what you value and caring for those around you." Aaron nodded thoughtfully. He realized that the day had been more than a trial of skill or strength. It had been a lesson in trust, teamwork, and heart. And through it all, he had learned something deeper about Niva, about the palace, and about himself. As they sat together by the glowing crystals, the palace seemed to breathe a little easier. Aaron looked at Niva, feeling a quiet connection that went beyond words. She was not just his guide or a guardian of ice, she was someone he respected, admired, and quietly hoped to be close to. The sun began to set outside, casting a soft golden glow over the icy walls. Aaron knew that the trials were far from over, but he also knew that he and Niva could face anything together. The Ice Palace had shown him courage, magic, and the beauty of trust. And now, more than ever, he wanted to see where this journey would lead, both in the palace and in his growing bond with Niva. The morning in the Ice Palace was quieter than usual. The halls shimmered in soft silver light, and the air was still, as if holding its breath. Aaron walked alongside Niva, feeling both excitement and nervousness. Today, Niva had promised, would be a trial unlike any before. It was not only about skill or courage, it was about the heart. They entered a wide chamber where the ice walls reflected their images like mirrors. In the center, a frozen pool glowed faintly. Niva gestured toward it. "Today's challenge is about understanding and trust," she said softly. "The palace will reveal your deepest intentions. You must show honesty, bravery, and care." Aaron nodded, though he felt a flutter of nervousness. He stepped forward carefully, watching the shimmering pool. Suddenly, the ice surface rippled, and images appeared. They were scenes from his own life, moments of fear, of courage, of kindness. He saw himself helping a child in a village, facing a dangerous storm on his journey, and times when he had doubted himself. Each image reflected not just actions, but feelings. The pool then showed Niva. Her expressions, her quiet moments of strength, her time alone in the palace, all of it appeared before him. Aaron realized the challenge was not just about seeing these images, but understanding them. The palace wanted him to see her fully, to understand her life and her feelings. He turned to Niva, who watched him with calm eyes. I see now," Aaron said slowly. "You carry so much responsibility. You protect this palace and its magic. And yet, you also hope for connection, for understanding." Niva nodded gently. "Yes. I have lived here for centuries, protecting the palace and its secrets. Many fear what they do not understand. Few take the time to truly see me, or the palace. That is why your presence is different, Aaron. You do not just seek knowledge, you seek understanding." Aaron felt warmth in his chest. He had admired Niva's strength, but now he understood her more deeply. He saw the care behind her actions, the thoughtfulness in every decision, and the quiet loneliness that sometimes shadowed her. He wanted to share that burden, to stand beside her not just as a visitor, but as someone she could trust. The ice pool shimmered again, showing them standing together, facing challenges side by side. Aaron reached out, his hand hovering over the ice. "I want to be here with you, Niva," he said softly. "I want to help, to understand, and to protect this place with you. I trust you, and I hope you can trust me too." Niva's gaze softened. She stepped closer, her silver hair brushing lightly against his shoulder. "Trust is not given lightly," she said. "It is earned. But I feel it in you, Aaron. You have shown courage, respect, and care. That is the foundation of trust." Aaron smiled, feeling a lightness in his chest he had not felt before. For the first time, he felt that he and Niva were more than guardian and visitor. They were companions, learning from each other and facing challenges together. Suddenly, the palace stirred around them. The ice walls glowed brighter, as if acknowledging their connection. Small snowflakes danced in the air, forming patterns that mirrored their movements. Aaron felt a sense of wonder. This was the magic of the palace, alive and responding to hearts that were sincere. Niva extended her hand, and Aaron took it without hesitation. They walked slowly around the glowing pool, feeling the warmth of trust and understanding growing between them. Every step was careful, yet confident, as if the palace itself was guiding them. "You have grown much since you arrived," Niva said quietly. "Not only in courage or skill, but in understanding. That is what makes you ready for the final lessons of this journey. Soon, you will see the full heart of the Ice Palace, and the choices you make will matter more than ever." Aaron felt a mix of anticipation and determination. He had faced trials, illusions, danger, and now the test of heart. Through it all, he had learned patience, respect, and trust. And he had discovered something even more important: a bond with Niva that went beyond words, beyond magic, beyond trials. As the sun's light shimmered through the ice walls, Aaron and Niva stood side by side, gazing at the glowing patterns in the palace. He realized that the journey was not just about learning or surviving, it was about connection, understanding, and the courage to open one's heart. For the first time, Aaron felt completely certain of one thing: whatever awaited them next, he wanted to face it together with Niva. The Ice Palace was full of wonder, magic, and challenge, but it had also shown him the power of trust, respect, and quiet love. And that, he knew, was a treasure greater than any crystal or secret within its walls. The Ice Palace sparkled in the soft light of dawn, its walls reflecting every color of the morning sky. Aaron stood beside Niva at the highest balcony, looking out over the frozen mountains. He felt a mixture of awe and peace. The journey had been long and challenging, but every step had brought him closer to understanding the palace, its magic, and the guardian who had guided him. Niva turned to him, her eyes calm and thoughtful. "You have learned much, Aaron," she said softly. "Not only about the palace, but about yourself. You have faced trials of courage, skill, and heart, and you have proven yourself worthy of its secrets." Aaron smiled, feeling a warmth he could not describe. "I have learned because of you," he replied. "You trusted me, guided me, and challenged me. Without your help, I could not have come this far." Niva's lips curved into a small smile. "Trust is earned, and you have earned it. But now comes the final lesson: the choice. The palace will reveal what matters most. You must decide how you wish to continue your journey." Aaron felt his heart beat faster. He had expected trials of skill or magic, but a choice of the heart was something new. He looked at Niva, her silver hair glowing softly in the morning light, and realized that the answer had been clear to him for some time. His journey was not just about discovering the palace, it was about sharing it, protecting it, and being with her. The palace seemed to respond to his thoughts. The ice beneath their feet shimmered with a brilliant glow, forming patterns that reflected his feelings: courage, respect, trust, and care. Aaron took a deep breath and turned to Niva. "I want to stay," he said firmly. "Not just to explore or learn, but to help protect this place and to be with you. I trust you, and I hope you can trust me too. Niva's eyes softened, and she reached out, taking his hand in hers. I trust you, Aaron, she said. And I am glad. Few humans have ever shown the courage and respect that you have. The palace itself acknowledges that. But it is more than trust. It is care, understanding, and connection. You have shown all of these. The palace seemed to shimmer even brighter around them, as if celebrating their bond. Snowflakes danced through the air, glittering like tiny stars, and the ice walls reflected their joined hands. Aaron felt a sense of wonder and fulfillment. He had not only faced trials, illusions, and danger, but he had also discovered something far greater: the power of trust, respect, and companionship. Niva led him to the central chamber, where the ice crystals glowed with a soft, magical light. This chamber is the heart of the palace, she explained. Here, the palace's magic is strongest, and its history is held. Few have ever entered with understanding and sincerity. You have done so, Aaron. And now, you may choose to make this your home for as long as you wish. Aaron looked around the chamber, marveling at the beauty and the history that seemed alive in every crystal and snowflake. I want to stay, he repeated. I want to learn, to protect, and to share this journey with you. Niva's smile widened, and for the first time, she allowed herself a small laugh of happiness. Then it is decided, she said. The palace is yours to protect with me, and together we will face whatever comes next. They spent the day exploring the palace together, not as guardian and visitor, but as companions. Aaron showed Niva some human ways of thinking and seeing the world, while Niva taught him more about the palace's magic, its history, and its secrets. Every moment was filled with learning, laughter, and quiet understanding. As night fell, the northern lights appeared in the sky, painting the frozen mountains in brilliant greens, purples, and blues. Aaron and Niva stood side by side, watching the lights dance across the icy landscape. The palace shimmered beneath them, a reflection of their journey and their bond. Aaron took Niva's hand gently. I never imagined that I would find so much more than knowledge here, he said softly. I found courage, friendship, and something more. I am grateful for you and the palace. Niva leaned slightly closer, her eyes reflecting the northern lights. And I am grateful for you, Aaron, she said. You have brought warmth, trust, and hope into a place that has been cold and quiet for too long. Together, we will keep it alive. For the first time, Aaron felt complete. The Ice Palace had challenged him, amazed him, and tested him, but it had also given him a bond he would treasure forever. He and Niva had discovered courage, trust, and a quiet, powerful love that needed no words to be understood. The palace glowed softly around them, its ice walls reflecting the light of the northern sky. The journey was complete, but the adventure had just begun. Aaron and Niva stood together, ready to face the future, side by side, with hearts open and spirits strong. The Ice Palace, once a place of mystery, had become a home, a sanctuary, and a symbol of their shared journey. And in that frozen, sparkling world, surrounded by magic and light, Aaron realized that some treasures were far greater than gold or crystal. They were trust, love, and the courage to face life together.